I don't know. Whenever you're ready. You're good?
Just take charge,
I'd like to call the July 23rd Park and Rec Commission meeting to order. First of all, we do have a quorum. Good to see everybody here today. Thank you. We need a motion to approve the minutes of May 28th.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any comments? No? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next thing is commission elections. So we're looking for nominations for chairman and secretary. I guess chairman starts out first. So is there any?
I'll nominate Mike Starl for chairman.
Okay, we got a motion second. Is there any other nominations for chairman? Any other nominations for chairman? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, and I do appreciate it. So I enjoy this spot, I really do. Plus I get on the plan commission, which is a good gig too, so. Okay, second would be the secretary. Do we have a nomination?
Their secretary now.
Mike Weston.
Mike Weston.
Okay.
Doesn't seem like it, does it?
No.
Next time we'll make that announcement.
I'll second that nomination.
Okay. Then we have a motion and a second. Is there anybody else who want to nominate somebody for secretary? Anybody else want to nominate somebody for secretary? All in favor of Mike Weston being secretary? Favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Mike, you're in again.
Thank you.
All right. It's a good paying job too, just
Oh,
so
it's
you know.
great.
All right. Okay. Unfinished business, nothing. New business, it's going to be dogs in West Bend Parks. So, Mike Jens, are we going to start with?
Sure. I will start a quick introduction, and I'm going to lead it right to Megan Kennedy when I'm done. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight in beautiful Regner Park. The issue or the topic of dogs in parks has been ongoing. Well, I've been with the city 21 years. It's been on and off for the last 21 years, different issues, different topics. As I noted in my quick memo, last highlights were in 2019 and prior to that 2015-16. We do at this point in time allow dogs on a 6-foot leash or less in several properties. Things, as far as I know, have been working out well on those properties. We haven't had any issues. I know Chief Moyler is here. He can speak to anything like that later on in the meeting. The second memo in your packet are some highlights that Megan put together. Again, starting with the current ordinance and then some updates and things like that, some discussion items. One of the comments we often hear are, I live in a neighborhood and I can't walk my dog in the park down the road from my house. That's one of the issues that Megan brought to me right away, pre-COVID right away, several months ago. That's we would have discussed this back in March, April, but we got a little delayed with that. So, Megan, with that?
Yeah, so currently in West Bend City Parks, it's really all over the place where we allow dogs and where we don't. Esteban Trail, dogs are okay on an 8-foot leash. Glacier Blue Hill Recreation Area, the Ice Age Trail is okay. Old Settlers Park, the dogs are okay in the full park. Ridge Run, dogs in the full park okay, and obviously Rolfs is the dog park. And then we also have other parks where dogs are not allowed. So right now the city of West Bend is kind of an outlier. Washington County allows dogs in their parks with an 8-foot leash. And they're allowed on trails. They have some poop bag stands set up around some of the parks, not all of them, as well as the state of Wisconsin parks. Dogs are okay per DNR rules as long as they're on a leash no longer than 8 feet at all times, under control, and waste is disposed of properly. So I would like to see the city of West Bend parks come into line with both the county and the state park laws, so that everybody that has a dog, it's very easy to understand. You don't have to go to the website and say, I'm going to visit Esteban today, and that's okay, but if I want to use Villa Park Trail, that's not okay. I have talked to Chief of Police, I've talked to Washington County Parks Commissioner Eric. They don't have very many issues with dogs in the county parks. They said that the poop is picked up there. They really don't have a lot of problems with it. They also have a program that allows for people to sponsor a poop bag station for like $200, and then that extra money goes to the Parks Department. So that is also kind of a good way to raise some money. As far as I know, when I talked to the chief, there were not any issues with many dog bites or dogs at large issues in the city of West Bend. So I don't really see why the majority of responsible pet owners can't use the beautiful parks near their house. I know for one, I live in Villa Park. We have a beautiful trail. I'm not able to use it when I walk my dog. Unfortunately, I don't have kids, so using the park and the playground obviously isn't going to be my number one priority. And when I do get outside and exercise, I usually do take my dog with me just because I work full time, so I want him to be able to enjoy the outside. I think West Bend has a lot of younger families, a lot more millennials. I know a lot of the apartment complexes that are being built up are going to be pet friendly. It just seems like something that we're going towards more and more as a society. So I'd like to try to kind of bring this ordinance, like I said, in line with the state, with the county, and kind of where the state of the city is now.
Very good.
Should we hear from Chief to back this up, or what have you heard as far as complaints go, I guess?
We get just as many complaints of people walking dogs on public streets that we do in parks. So, and Megan is correct. The number of dog bites, I mean, obviously most dog park, but even that, in like a 3-year period, maybe 8 bite complaints. On the Eisenbahn, your dogs have been allowed since they opened, the last 3 years. We get more strays on there, but we get strays walking around anywhere. We had 1 dog bite complaint. One, actually, I don't think we just had one recently that wasn't included here. So very few. And I agree with what said, if people have it on a leash and pick it up, and I think Wayne's got some suggestions to limit areas that they would go in the parks. I would just say that if we're going to do it, that the complaints we get is not having it on a leash and not picking up the waste, and so that we would continue to enforce, and people could expect it would be enforced at the parks.
Thanks.
And just to add a little bit to the discussion, some of the areas that staff, where we do have some concerns that I did mention in the memo, the swim pond, splash pad, the entertainment area here, special events, things of that nature. If the ordinance were to change and dogs were allowed, let's say in this park for special events, we would have to put some portable signs up and things like that, so people see that right away before they enter the event. One side note with Eisenbahn Trail, it's the Eisenbahn State Trail. It falls under county jurisdiction, so that's why the leash is at 8 feet, because it follows through with the county's rules on other properties. Are county parks and state parks different than city parks? I guess you could say yes, you could say no. There's a discussion there if you'd want to have that. There are plenty of state parks that would also mimic what we have at Glacier Blue Hills, open areas, things like that. We also have state parks that are very busy, like a Regner Park, things like that. And if I remember correctly, around their beaches and things of that nature in state parks, dogs are not allowed. Please don't quote me on that, but I'm most certain that dogs are not allowed in some of those areas. Yeah, so I do remember that from Peninsula State Park. So tonight, obviously, we like to hear from commissioners, and we have some guests here also. If you want the ordinance to change, give us the wording and your wants and needs and information tonight. We will give that to Ian, the city attorney. We will get it drafted into a proposed ordinance and then bring it back to the commission in August. So tonight we would want what you would maybe want for changes, probably vote on that, and then we could take it to Ian to get it written up in the ordinance, and then bring it back to you folks for a final vote, and then it goes to common council.
If I could just read kind of what the update proposal is, if you guys didn't read it in your packet, but the update basically would be that dogs are going to be allowed in all city parks except for the prohibited areas. All dogs must be on a leash no longer than, I think I wrote 6 feet, 6 or 8 feet, whatever, at all times and under owner's control unless in Wolf's Dog Park's leash-free areas. Any pet owner who fails to control their pet, create public nuisance or disturbance of others may be asked to leave. All pet waste must be picked up and disposed of in garbage receptacles using poop bags, scoops, or other implements. And must be carried away by the person that brought the pet onto the property. Prohibited areas would be special events, park buildings, picnic shelters, within the children's playground area, beaches, and athletic fields. So this would not be bring your dog down the slide. This is not bring your dog to run around on the baseball field when no one's there and let it poop. The intent is that you would be able to walk your dog down the trails, enjoy the woods, and keep it leashed. I was in Thiensville last night, actually at Village Park. It was a very busy park, and there were dogs with people walking. It didn't seem to create any issue. There was probably 10 different people I saw walking dogs last night in the Thiensville Park. So it's just the intent to be able to use the public space in a more versatile way. So I just wanted to update what it kind of, the change would be.
Mike?
I would be against having them in Regner Park. I've been down here for 60 4th of Julys, and it's busy all summer, and it's not just the picking up the poop, but it's the urine, and we have dogs, we've always had dogs. I mean, they pee on everything, and I don't want to walk around barefoot and lean up against a tree where a dog's been, but it just gets, it's too busy, and to try and keep them away from the beach, I think it'd be best just to keep them out of the park altogether. And same with Riverside. I mean, the 4th of July, you could say, I mean, that's a special event, you wouldn't let them in anyway, but maybe it's best just not let them in these two parks. The neighborhood parks, maybe that wouldn't be the worst, but I would be against, for sure, Regner Park.
Anybody else would like to speak? Because I'll say,
Paul Jean from Lackawanna Conservancy. The Conservancy, while it is part of the park system, is a very different sort of space. And trails are not necessarily wide enough. Our widest trails are about 6 feet. So for someone being confronted with a dog walker to get far enough away from the person with the dog on a 6 or 8 foot leash, you are several feet off the trails in the habitat we're trying to preserve. On our narrowest trails that are only 2 to 3 foot wide, that presents a significant problem, and some of them have some fairly steep terrain along our Esker Trail that stepping off the path will be very dangerous to the person doing so. The scientific study that I did come across, and since we are a conservancy in trying to maintain our bird city denomination, walking dogs on a leash through a conservancy reduces bird population in that area by 41% and reduces the diversity of the bird species in the area by 35%. Now that's as the majority of Lackawanna is wooded. That would be a significant reduction in what we're trying to propagate in the area. It's very different, very unique, very fortunate that the city of West Bend has such a property within the city boundaries itself, and we wouldn't want to jeopardize our standings that in all the work that's been done for the last, since 1979, to be changed to allow dogs in the area.
thanks, Paul.
Questions?
Anybody else?
Do you know of any conservancies in the area that allow dogs? Because my understanding is the Cedar Lake Conservation Area, I know a lot of people walk dogs. I don't know if it's not allowed, but they have, I don't know if they do as much bird things as your area does, but.
It's not just the birds, it's also if you're on a 6 or 8 foot leash, the dog isn't always going to stay on the mowed trails. They're going to be off into the grasses on the side, the plants we're trying to propagate so that when people are walking, they can see them. We've got Weaver Trail with houses. The animals see the dogs as predators. And so if there's more dog traffic in an area, they're not going to frequent it. Now, some people may look at that as, okay, we'll keep a few extra deer out of the area. maybe that's a plus. On the other hand, it's going to create a scene for the other animals that are in the area. Now, River Edge does not allow dogs on their trails as well. There are some segments of some conservancies in other parts of the state that will allow them. Most of them are connected to some extent with large trail areas like the Rising Rock Trail and such.
Any other questions for Paul? Hey, Craig?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm also here to speak also on behalf of Loch Lorraine, as I am a Friends board member. And I'm not a city resident, so I'm not going to speak to what you guys decide for the rest of the parks. But I will give you a quick history since I did spend a little time in the park system here. As you talk about patchworks, I mean, it's kind of an evolution. So when I first started 16 years ago, there was really no dogs allowed in any of the parks. And I think that came from a former mayor. And as we walked through it, we started to allow things. I think the Eisenbahn helped on the county level. You can see Glacier to the Hills, the Ice Age Trail, the Riverwalk are newer things. So we tried to get trails because that made sense where you could walk dogs kind of safely, enough people going by. Ridge Run Park was a county park. It became a city park, so that's why it changed and we left it basically grandfathered as is. So just a little history there. It's interesting if you want to go to a county or a state level, they're very different in sizes. So Mike mentioned Regner Park's 90 acres, maybe not here, maybe some other neighborhood. So don't compare city parks necessarily with county and state parks. Very different animals, if I can use the pun. And if you go to your system you're proposing, you still have a patchwork system. So I'm just cautioning in the sense that if I come to Regner Park and I take my dog to the beach or the splash pad or here, you tell me I can't be here, but I can be over there. So enforcement, as the chief knows, is difficult, and if you're going to split up parks like that, that becomes more difficult. So I also want to let you know that not everyone likes dogs or has dogs. So yes, in my profession, I've seen the increase in people. Just like any other profession or any other person, not everybody's responsible. So most are, lots are not. So to Ken's problem with his officers is right now he has to tell people don't go to the park. Next will be you be in the park, but you got to put them back on the leash because that happens. Mr. White, have you always walked your dog on a leash in Ridge Run Park?
Absolutely. Officially.
Yes. So it happens. And I just want to give you one tip on how we handle it where I work now, and then I'm going to go on to Loch Lorraine. In the city of Oconomowoc, they switched it about a year before I got there, and their rule is dogs are allowed in all parks on asphalt or paved or concrete pathways. So it's a little different. So you can walk through Regner Park on your leash, on a trail that's paved, but you can't be in the grass areas. So similarly, athletic fields, beaches, all that kind of stuff. So as far as that stuff, that's up to you guys to decide how you want to handle parks. But as far as Loch Lorraine Conservancy, it's not a park, it's conservancy. It's a way different property. This year is actually celebrating the 40th anniversary of Loch Lorraine. If you allow dogs in parks, I guarantee you the Marines will roll over in their grave, the ones that donated the property to the city. There was never that intention. I would also ask you if you discuss this at all with the Loch Lorraine Policy Committee, because they're the ones that actually form policies for that property. So we have a friends group here, which I'm part of, but we're more the facilitation of programs and events and things like that. We're part of the policy, but the policy committee actually handles those kind of issues. They've met for 40 years, they've discussed this back and forth. I'm not even sure who's on the policy committee, but that's something you should definitely, if you're looking at Loch Lorraine with pets, you should definitely talk to them first. Paul mentioned a few of the reasons, but truly, Loch Lorraine is designated by sewer path as an NA2, which is a natural area 2, which means it has significant plant material as well. Over 230 species of plants, many of them are protected. So that's a major problem with pets. And then Paul already mentioned the bird issue with we are a bird city here in West Bend, and that would go against that. It's really not set up for it. I mean, you can park in the parking lot there and walk the pathway to the Eisenbahn, which is perfect. You can bike there from that point to the Eisenbahn. But the Conservancy is a small, narrow pathway with small trails, and it's not set up to be trampled on by people or animals, and we try to protect that the best we can. So, did I miss anything? No, I would disagree. I don't think the city parks have to be like counties or states, but definitely please reconsider that Lockville Land Conservancy itself should be accepted from any allowance of dogs.
And one comment, since Craig did mention it, the conservancies that do allow, there's a couple over in the Madison area, they allow dogs walk only on paved walkways through the conservancy areas. Since we have virtually no paved areas other than sidewalk up to the building, that would exclude that, from being considered like the other conservancies in that part of the state.
I can't speak for Cedar Lakes Conservancy, but we've hiked their trails. I would call them more trail-like. They're not a conservancy, might be in the name. They have mowed pathways all over. It's kind of like the Ice Age Trail. We've got that kind of thing. So I think they do allow dogs, and that's, again, a trail system, so it's not really the same kind of situation.
Any other questions for Craig? Anybody else want to speak? Jim?
Nobody else? Audience wants to speak. I have a couple of things. First of all, the Commissioner Weston alluded to Riverside Park. Just want to remind us that we do allow dogs on the Riverwalk. Riverwalk is right through the heart of Riverside Park. So I think that is something we're going to continue to allow dogs to specify as we're alluded to. We have very developed trails or the paved trails. Excuse me. As far as the conservancy locked around, I think that would knee-jerk be put on the prohibited list. I don't think there should be any discussion on that. There's no way that should ever be thought about as being part of the park to allow. And it was fully agreeing with what Paul Shot and Craig Anthony have both said, and I'm sure there's other ones here. They feel very strongly with that. And as much as I'm on the walk around policy, it would be very hard for me to defend something like that. Semi-annual agreement, whatever it is. I just don't mind that. Craig alluded to the history of this. I remember very well when we banned all of the dogs in the park. And it was a former mayor that when we brought it about, we started our very busy weekends. He was down here with a family picnic. And it seems like one of his kids or something got up, and when they stepped off the blanket, they stepped into a big pile of poop. And that created the uproar, and within 2 weeks we had no dogs in the park. Or in the parks. So I think that is, again, might have been an overreaction. I can understand his reflection at that time and his reaction at that time.
Any questions for Jim? Anybody else have? Because I got 2 cents here too, if you don't mind.
I have just one more.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize.
That's okay. I'm Lisa Sanborn, and I'm also on the Loch Lorraine, Friends of Loch Lorraine Conservancy Board. And everything that Paul and Craig said, I am all behind that. Just as a resident of West Bend, I just wanted to add, my husband and I, we hike regularly on the Ice Age Trail and through all of the parks in town. As often, obviously not in the city parks, but other places where dogs are allowed and we've encountered them. It seems as often as I see a dog that's on a leash, I see another one that isn't on a leash. And an owner that's with it, it's like, oh, my dog, he's okay, he doesn't do anything, he's fine. Well, who knows? You just don't know. And I'm not afraid of dogs, but if a dog comes charging at me, that's gonna be pretty startling. And I'm not gonna be very happy with that. Even if they are on a leash, sometimes they'll charge even if they are on a leash. And like Paul said, sometimes trails are not very wide and you don't have a space to get away from the dog. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you.
And oftentimes on Eisenbahn, we see little bags left, little poop bags. they leave them on the side of the trail. So are they picking them up when they walk back? Are they thinking that somebody comes through and cleans those up? The little poop bag ferry comes by? I don't know. But that's another concern, that when, okay, that's on a trail that is frequented and it's a narrow path, that, like a specified path, what about in a big park? Where are those poop bags going to get left? And I know most people are probably responsible in picking them up, but all it takes is one time stepping in it, you're not going to be very happy.
Thank you.
As for those leashes too, you see a lot of retractable ones, and the dogs wandering off trail and everything. And I agree, you know, most
And
dog
those
owners
go
are
like
good.
20 feet,
Yes.
yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, now my 2 cents. I did get, I'll be honest with you, because it's been in the paper, I did get a few calls this week from people, and I'm going to back what you said. And most of them are joggers that are out at Ridgewood Park, whatever. And again, 90% of dog owners are wonderful, but the 10% gets people irritated. They're jogging, and the family comes up and says, oh, the dog's fine, well, let's nip it at it. And people don't like that. So personally, I'm going to back Mike on this. I don't think Regner Park needs to have dogs here. I really don't, unless you want to keep it on the blacktop, whatever. But I don't think this is a park that needs the dogs. I think the 5 parks that we let dogs on a leash, I think is fine. Like I said, most people follow the rules, 6-foot leash, all good. And probably, like I said, probably 50% of West Bend people have a dog, and that's fine. They have the right to, but I don't want to open up too far, and if we do open up farther, I do believe we have to do a 1-year study again, like we've done before. If you want to open this up farther, and after 1 year, we can decide to eliminate it. So, but I'm personally against Regner Park having dogs. Riverside would be another one unless it's on the blacktop, I guess. But that's my 2 cents worth.
I didn't think about Lac Lorraine that much, but after listening to them, I'll add that to my list too.
Yes, and then, well, that's, I think, guaranteed, so I don't think, well, right now, we gotta vote on it, but I don't think they have to worry about that. I think they're... Anybody else?
So Mike, you said get a study together for this?
Well, Mike, so we've opened up the dog park, or dogs in parks and stuff over the years, and we always had like a 1 year, and then we go back to chief and talk about, but I would like personally, that's just me, and you guys can vote against it, Regner Park, Lac Lorraine, and Riverside out of the agenda of parks. Or keep it with what we have right here, so.
Because it's every night I see dogs in this park.
Yep.
Every night.
Yeah.
It's posted.
People are doing it against the
Right.
the will of the city already, which is
It's not gonna
unfortunate,
stop.
which is unfortunate, but,
Again,
Mike, if you're looking for a motion, I'll make a motion to leave the ordinance as it is.
I'll second it.
okay. Any opposition to that motion?
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
Okay, he made a motion to keep it as it is with the 5 parks we have. We have a motion and a second. Anybody opposed or any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Who's opposed? Steve? Okay. So what do we have? Jim, what are you? In favor or opposed? You're opposed. So we have, it's,
Didn't include Riverside Park.
pardon me?
Didn't include Riverside Park.
Can,
Oh, we were going
We
to
were
keep
leaving
it
it
as
as
is. So we're going to,
they don't want to do it.
you're opposed.
Unless you have Riverside.
Oh, unless you have Riverside Park.
If you added Riverside Park, I'm for it.
Okay. So right now we're 4-3.
I would motion that we change the parks except for Regner, Lac Lorraine, and what was the one that you didn't, what was everyone? Riverside.
Jim wants Riverside because they have the walkthrough.
Jim wants Riverside?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I would be fine taking out Regner if it's such a big park and Lac Lorraine with the Conservancy. But I'd like to give it a try for a year and try the other parks in the area and see if we have increased calls or complaints or police issues. Leaving out obviously our biggest park then with the most people, and then the Conservancy if the issue is the trails being narrow or the runs, etc., the animals.
So the new motion is every city park except for Regner Park and Lac Lorraine, which the Conservancy must
And
put there.
Riverside.
No, because Jim wants Riverside.
No, you want Riverside?
They want Riverside.
Just the 2 parks,
Just the 2 parks.
or Regner and
Yeah, for a 1-year test.
For a 1 year to try it. I think that, you know, if we start getting complaints or there's issues like Mike said there, to see people in here walking their dogs, so I would guess people are doing it on the down low without having much of an issue in places, and people don't call and complain because they do clean up the waste. They have them on a leash. If they don't have them on a leash, if they're not cleaning up the waste, people hopefully will call. But I'd like to see us kind of progress a little as a city and try something new.
Okay, so I
Can
guess,
I just ask for clarification? So the parks that you're gonna allow, they're gonna be allowed in the entire park, and the 2 that you're not allowing, they're not gonna be allowed in the entire park.
Regner and Lac Lorraine.
It,
I'm just saying from an enforcement standpoint,
Right.
that makes it easy,
Yep.
but I'm just, Mike's comments earlier, that they weren't gonna be allowed in play areas and stuff. I'm just asking, they're gonna be
Right, the motion is Regner and Lac Lorraine.
done, and
None.
the rest of the parks they go
so
wherever.
they can take them into park buildings.
I mean, I personally, I guess depending on how the council feels, I don't think, I'm just speaking for my area, Villa Park I live in, there's one small space, it depends on every park. For enforcement, I can see it'd probably be easier for you to say just, you know, we don't want people calling us out there all the time. But I do understand, I don't think that many people are gonna take their dog into the slides or something. I guess I just don't foresee that. The baseball diamond or something maybe could be more of an issue, and I don't want that.
Well, right now I have the motion as dogs will be allowed in all city parks with the exception of Regner and Lac Lorraine and a 6-foot or less leash. Is that correct?
And special events. I mean, we're not
Special
holding
events.
it, that's,
Sorry.
that, you better put
Please,
that on
please
there
add
too.
That's
special
what I'm
events, yes.
asking.
Right,
Yeah.
no, Riverside Park would be 4th of July.
Absolutely, 4th of July,
Any kind
I
of
agree,
special event would
that
have to
seems
be-
silly, people don't need their dog there for
And that
special
they pick
events.
up stuff, but I'm just gonna tell you, you're gonna have a hard time thinking you're gonna enforce that on 4th of July, so.
And that's-
I would say that as well.
I don't, it's not practical to say that you're gonna deny it,
Right,
so.
but we haven't put special events on there.
I mean, that's
Just talking from an enforcement
Yeah.
standpoint, that's gonna be more difficult.
No, I know.
And totally
They're not
practical.
supposed to, and most people don't, but if you had it, if people, if it was
Say
welcome
they're
in
all-
every park, you're gonna let us be in every park except here on the 4th of July. I can tell you that not only are the police gonna be dealing with it, but there are gonna be others who are gonna have to deal with it. And, you know, if we have lights or whatever, then we're, you know, anytime you have a large group, I'm a little, and I held my tongue on this, but I'm a little bit concerned also about the activities that we have in all of our parks. We have volleyball going on, we have children running and playing, and for the most part, as you said, dogs are okay, but you have a little small person running after a soccer ball, and I have seen it. Dogs, they want to either play or they're whatever, and if we have organized activities or sports fields that are being programmed, and now we're having people that are bringing dogs in, that's a concern
Okay.
for our activities. I mean, and I don't know how we get around that, but people playing out on our softball fields, you've got activities out here, and if you're going to allow, if it's going to be everything except Regner Park. They're going to be in Riverside Park. The sand volleyball courts are not fenced. The soccer fields are not fenced. And so we will have a problem.
But we'd still want the 6-foot leash rule, right? So the person would have to walk their dog on a leash to the volleyball court. And if they didn't have their dog on a leash, that's illegal, and it's illegal right now. So, I mean, we'd still be fighting the same battle, really, if they're not leashing their dog or if they're on a 6-foot leash. I guess my question is that we all seem to agree there's mostly responsible pet owners in West Bend.
I don't know about that.
Mike? Oh, sorry, Dan?
But honestly, like doing snow removal in the parks and working in the parks on a daily basis, I can tell you dogs are in every one of these parks every day. And as far as cleanup, people are pigs. Because the blue bags, they tie them up as biodegradable, so people throw them in the woods. We've had them on Woodway, on Silver Grove over here, hanging in the trees all winter. Because, I'm not gonna carry that all the way home. So you're gonna run into that no matter what. There are a lot of people that are very considerate, but there's also that minuscule percentage that's just gonna abuse it, and it's gonna wreck it for everybody else.
But it sounds like those people maybe already are doing that, and the responsible people just aren't coming to our parks.
That's true, but if you open it up to more areas that they can do this legally, are we gonna find more messes every
But
day?
that's why I'm saying we can evaluate this in a year. Is it worse in a year? Are the responsible people already using the park at will and leaving poop bags, and the irresponsible people, and the responsible people like myself staying out of the parks, even though I would love to be able to walk my dog through a path near my house, but I don't because it's posted that I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, I live by Riverside, I get the same issue. And that's why I wanted to ask the chief how hard it is to enforce, because with Riverside, you get Riverwalk going through it. Does that raise a gray area?
I think it's easier to say all or none for enforcement, but there it's pretty clear because we said the Riverwalk, so it's a pretty well-defined area. To say otherwise, where you're going to open it up to certain trails and then have the exceptions of play areas and fields and all that, I just think it makes it very difficult. And I understand what people are saying, that if somebody has volleyball or, but generally people have a permit then to play baseball or to play softball and other people aren't. Again, I agree with what Megan says, if they should be on a leash already, and so I just think it's easiest and clearer for people to say all or none.
Mike?
I was just thinking that, like Riverside, what if the dog owner had to go to the restroom? What do they do with the dog then? They're not allowed in the building.
Well, as of right now, they are allowed in the buildings. This goes through. They're allowed everywhere except these two properties and special events.
I think you could say not in the buildings. I can't imagine.
I'm just looking at the motion that's on the floor, and that's what I have here.
Could we amend it to be on posted areas, Mike? So we would be able to post a bathroom or post a field or post
just say no buildings.
Buildings, yeah, that's fine. No buildings.
Okay, then I'm going to ask, is this considered a building? An open air pavilion? Can I bring my dog in here?
I'd hate to see it there.
Yeah, how many do we have?
Dogs
How
in
many
there.
do we have?
Prairie Meadow Park and it starts raining, I can't take my dog under a pavilion. I'm throwing these all on there, I'm not trying to.
That's why we're discussing it.
These are the clarifications we will need as a
Absolutely.
staff.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I need to go to city attorney, get something written up, chief needs to enforce it. So I'm not throwing these out here to argue, this is a reality.
How many open air pavilions do we have? Every single park has one?
We have multiple. I don't know.
Almost every park?
Right.
Just about?
Yep.
This large or just
No,
like 2, 4?
Closer, like what you have at the law.
Yep.
Like, oh, that one, that small?
Yep.
Like,
Say picnic
4, I was gonna say 4 or 6 picnic tables.
So I'm gonna ask buildings, pavilions, some ways are different. Playgrounds, athletic fields. I'm just throwing out the high use areas, everyone, that's all I'm doing. So that way we're all on the same page here. Because right now the motion is Regner, Lac Lorraine, no special events, evaluate it 1 year. That's the motion that's on the table. That's what I
I'll
have.
be voting against this motion.
Well, I'm going to bring it up. Hold on. So, yeah, yep. Any more discussion, please? Okay, so I guess we're going to go back again. All in favor?
Mike, you need a second.
Yep.
Oh, second for the motion. I apologize.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
So we're at 3, Mike, Steve, and Megan. All opposed?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And Alan's opposed.
Carolyn, you got it?
So it's 4-3. Motion carries. We're going back to, am I correct with this?
Motion failed.
Right, motion failed, now we have to go back, are we just
We're
gonna
as is.
stay as is?
Jim, what is, oh, I'm sorry.
We really gotta vote.
Do we have to vote for that?
No,
Right, so.
we're not changing anything.
Okay,
So you're not changing anything, you don't need to vote.
okay, sounds good.
Jim, what is the, I guess I'm confused by what Jim's whole, like, what does Jim want, I guess? Because I feel like he wants Riverside, we give him Riverside, and then he votes not with us. So I'm confused what you're thinking here,
We
Jim.
can't use Riverside, and does that mean we can't take, the Riverwalk goes to the whole length of Riverside Park? So what that's saying now is, are we excluding it from there?
Riverside's not excluded in this one though, right?
No.
So Riverside is allowed.
Riverside's allowed?
Riverside's allowed in this motion,
The
right?
motion-
I'm fine with that.
No. We voted 4-3 against your motion,
Okay,
okay? So we're back to the original 5 places where you can walk your dog with a 6-foot leash.
I don't think Jim understood that.
that's what I'm wondering.
What?
Repeat the motion.
Did he understand the motion?
Bring it back for another.
Repeat your motion.
Can you read the motion, Mike? I'm sorry.
Okay.
He has it written.
The motion would be dogs were allowed in city parks on a 6-foot or less leash, with the exceptions of a Regner Park, Lac Lorraine Conservancy, and special events. And it would be evaluated after 1 year. I don't, like park
Buildings,
buildings
yes, buildings.
Bill,
and park buildings.
So now that includes Riverside Park.
They're allowed in
They would be allowed in Riverside Park.
Did you add in there or otherwise posted?
I'm fine with where otherwise posted. I know the chief doesn't like that because of
a
the.
posting.
Well, I'm talking about buildings, I'm not talking
Oh.
about baseball diamonds and volleyball.
Yeah, I think you just spell out buildings. I still have a problem, I know I'm not voting this, but the special events to me is just going to create more of a problem. I don't know how you
Right.
get people that are going to do it every day, and then all of a sudden, for one day out of the year.
But I guess I don't understand that because I live in Cedarburg and like, dogs are allowed downtown all the time, except for Strawberry Fest, except for, those are special events. People know dogs aren't allowed in them. They have a sign, no dogs allowed as special events. I just think that seems like a very common sense and a common thing that.
Sure, they do that for farmers market too,
Yeah.
because they fence it off then and they have it. But if you're gonna include like fireworks are a special event, you think Regner or Riverside Park on 4th of July, suddenly nobody's gonna bring a dog there. I think that's unrealistic.
It wasn't, this year wasn't Riverside Park fenced off, and nobody could get in.
Yeah, well, but we're not, I don't think we're gonna do that any other year. Not for another 100 years.
I don't think either, right?
Let's hope.
Hold on, hey,
Another motion.
well, I don't know if we can do that. We've already passed this motion, correct? So can you go back and reverse something we passed? That's my, oh, thanks, Jay,
You would need somebody from the majority to make a motion to reconsider the motion.
That's me.
And you have some, yeah. something
okay,
you
so
have-
that is legal, that's,
Yeah, because he voted against it, now
Okay.
he wants to.
I would also like to note that the motion has changed because we've added buildings and otherwise posted.
okay, Mike?
I had a great idea. Maybe we should bring the fireworks back to Regner Park. Just for a one-year trial.
I don't know, I think the motion needs to be clear, because I'm just telling you, and obviously, it could change when it goes to council too.
Yes.
But I think,
Point of order, I'll make a motion to reconsider the previous motion.
Okay, you got a second?
I'll second that.
You got a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. So how many opposed? We got Alan, Mike, and Mike. Anybody else? Just 3 of us opposed? Okay, I guess you can make a new motion.
Let's reread the motion that we can vote on.
All right, this is what I have. Dogs are allowed in city parks on a 6-foot or less leash, with the exception of Regner Park, Lac Lorraine Conservancy, park buildings, otherwise posted areas, and special events that are posted and then to be evaluated after 1 year.
Yes.
Jay, give me 2 cents here, please. I trust your judgment and everything. This new, do you feel comfortable with?
So I think you have the right as chairman to consider that motion essentially the same as the motion that was defeated and asked to be reconsidered.
Okay.
In my opinion, it is essentially the same. You just refine the details of it.
Okay.
But that's my
Yeah,
opinion.
no,
your
that's,
call.
before we, like I said, and again, it's gotta go through council and everything. Chief doesn't like the special events on there, right, because it's not gonna be controlled.
It's gonna be unrealistic.
That's right, unrealistic.
As is otherwise posted, because I don't know what that means.
Right.
Take it off.
Okay. No, you, it's
No, I
not
said
for me to take, I just
well,
say,
no, I said take away
I
the
don't know when,
motion, take it
what
off.
that, and then when you're gonna do it, and
No.
who's gonna post it, and I don't like what.
Who's paying for this?
We passed this motion, we're submitting.
What's a special event?
Attorney can take it to the common council, so they can tweak it to where we, more amendable.
We would bring this, Jim, we would bring this back to the commission
Yeah.
in August.
We would still have the opportunity.
Correct. Yes. Go ahead.
All right, Mike, repeat it one more time for us, please.
Dogs will be allowed in city parks on a 6-foot or less leash, with the exclusion of Regner Park, Lac-Lorraine Conservancy, park buildings, otherwise posted areas, and special events that are posted to be evaluated in 1 year.
I just got one other thing, you don't have anything about that they have to pick up the dog waste either.
Oh,
That's
yes.
our present city ordinance.
Want to add that up?
It is in our present.
Yes.
Yeah, is it, I was gonna
It
say,
should be,
is that,
it should be consistent.
absolutely, to, a fine or whatever the ordinance is in the city right now, we should mirror that for the dog waste removal, absolutely.
All right, any other opinions?
I'll make that motion. That's my.
We need a second.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. So it's Alan, Mike, and Mike, so it's 4-3, motion carries.
Carolyn, you got it?
Carter and West are opposed.
And Starro.
Starro, yes. All right, nice discussion, everybody. I guess that's what makes it's a wonderful world. All right, let's go on to donations.
We have 3 of them.
3.
You have 2, and Nick has 1. That's 3. Sorry.
You meant for me though.
Courtney, why don't you start with the 2 donations that you have?
Okay, these are not for the Conservancy, but I was asked to read these. This is from a various resident, a $21 value to go towards archery range improvements. Thank you. And a $950 donation from Gears Incorporated to help with the boardwalk for the bike trail at Glacier Blue Hills.
From the bike club?
Okay.
For the bike trail? Oh.
And
Nick?
My pleasure to announce a donation made by the Early Risers Kiwanis of West Bend in support of the West Bend Memorial Library Recreation Center to be located at the lower level of the library in the amount of $20,000.
Oh, nice.
This is the first installment of the initial donation of $50,000. So going forward, we will receive $5,000 over the next 6 years from Early Risers Kiwanis.
Well, thank you. So we have a motion to accept the donations?
I move that we accept and acknowledge said
Second? Second. So we got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Special event, is that Jackie?
Yes, sir. The Alzheimer's Association usually does a large block and event here in Regner Park in September. They have every year for several years. This year they are changing it up and they are still going to be in Regner Park. But what they're going to be doing is a drive-through. You've seen the flowers that do the spinnies. They're like the little wind spinners that people put in their yards. They have hundreds and hundreds of them that people in memory of, and they call it the Promise Garden. So what they're going to do this year, because their Alzheimer's Association will not allow large events to take place, they're going to be placed, and you can see a map, it might be a little difficult if you've got it, but people will drive in the main entrance, the Main Street entrance of Regner Park. They will drive this direction. All of those little spinner flowers will be along the roadway, between the roadway and the sidewalk to the Labyrinth Garden. And then people will drive through, they will turn around in the sport court parking lot, and then they will exit. And so while it's basically, it's still a special event, we wanted to bring it to your attention because it is a change from what we've had in the past.
Great. And the city has no issues with this kind of, that's all fine?
Yeah.
Okay. With people?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion approved?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Anybody opposed? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. Okay, Nick, probably you, fall program fees?
Nick and Courtney?
Okay.
I can start and begin. The most notable, not much changes with the fees that we're rolling out in the fall. The notable ones is probably, if you recall, we had the Fund 80 West Bend School District, that partnership that has expired. That was initiated by the outgoing superintendent, so I look forward to having a discussion with the possibility of sharing the Fund 80 money with the incoming superintendent. So perhaps in the spring or next fall, we can bring that back. So we just obviously put our fees to what they usually were for recreational fees of $24. If you recall, the Fund 80 fee basically kind of acted like a scholarship. We charge a certain fee, and then based on the participation numbers, we bill that out to the school district, and then they reimburse us through the Fund 80 that we share with community recreation programs such as ours. We have a new program for the fall, which is going to be sign language for kids. We are also going to be offering swim lessons. It's not new, obviously, for offering swim lessons, but we usually offer lessons in the summer. They took a break in the fall. We started back up in winter, spring, in the summer. But since we didn't have any swim lessons this summer, we're hoping to get access to the high school pool in the fall and start doing swim lessons in September. Group Fitness will be a new program that we're offering. So you see the fee structure there. That's a contracted program. We have our Music Academy program, just giving youth music lessons over at the Academy. And ballroom dance, an ongoing program.
Okay, Courtney?
There will be no changes to the fees for the fall programs, Little Hikers and Helping Families Hiking, so nothing, no changes.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the fees for fall? So moved. Second?
Second?
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Request for overnight camp at Villa Park, which I think they've done before, is that correct?
Yes, they have. Villa Park, again, an outstanding neighborhood group. One of their activities has been an overnight camp. They do different activities and things like that in the park over during the evening hours. They bring in porta-john and things like that. We have contact people, contact information on who will be in the park that evening, and obviously police department would be aware of it, things like that. No issues in the past. It's a great group and a really cool family.
Any questions for Mike?
I'd make a motion to approve.
Okay. We got a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, reports. Chairman's good to go. Thanks for voting me back in again. I do enjoy the position. It was a tough night tonight, but it's good to go. Mike Weston.
Yeah, thanks for voting me too. And I stopped by the drive-in theater was that last month. That was very impressive. You guys did a great job, you and your staff.
Thanks.
Commend you. And I'll be coming to the next one too.
Good. Thanks, Mike. Quarterly trust report.
All right, a couple of highlights. I'd like to mention park fees again are up by just over $10,000. Again, those are from new development. Carolyn We kind of mentioned this at the last quarterly trust report. Carolyn did an outstanding job laying everything out, outlining everything out on when all these funds have come in over the last couple of years. We do have a timeline on using these funds. If we don't use them, we have to give them back to the developer, basically, is what it comes down to. So this is for new park development. So it's not, if we wanted to remodel this building, we can't use it, but it's for new park development. We do have one or two ideas on where this funding might be able to go in the near future, and that we would like to discuss probably in 2 or 3 months with the commission, something of that nature. So another highlight, I'd just like to note, dog park fees are, again, for this last quarter, just under $1,400, which is not a large amount for them. But again, people are using that facility. They love the dog park. They have been very happy that it's been open during this COVID situation. So,
It's only 14.
just in the last quarter, Jim. Just. So right now it's at $33,000.
Oh, exactly.
It's at $33,000. No, just normally those fees come in early in the year. Everyone wants to get the annual pass in, but again, it's still just $1,400 towards that facility. Folks are happy, still enthusiastic about the property. A win, that is a win out there.
Yep. That dog park is a home run, so that's that. Do we need to approve that quarterly report? Is that or not?
No.
We do? No?
Just a report.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Park project manager, Cindy.
Okay, short and sweet on Riverwalk, we are still going to go ahead with the utility relocations, but now they've been pushed off to September. So Mike's guys are going to start a demo out there in W2, right, in the middle of August to get ready for that. LLC is planning on going forward with the logging out there, so I've been working with Paul and Sean on getting their contract with the logger all set to go. All Abilities Playground, we sent out a request for proposals for design. This is going to be at the Regner Park, and Megan's been involved with our group with that. We sent those out on June 9th. We got them back on July 7th, and we received 6 responses from firms. After rating the firms, we narrowed it down to 3 firms to interview on July 28th. The 3 firms were Minnesota, Wisconsin Playground, Play by Design, and Snyder & Associates. We have an engineering firm that's collaborating with the playground people, a playground firm, and then Play by Design is kind of a thing by themselves. So we have 8 to 9 people who are actively participating in the interview process. If any of you would like to come and listen in on it, you are welcome to do that. We are doing the first interview at 4, the second one at 5, and the third one at 6 in the council chambers on the 28th. Some of these are going to be remote, some are going to be in person, and some might be a combination of the two. So we are planning on going to council on August 3rd if we can decide on a firm that we want to hire for this to award that. The design fees that we got from the firms ranged anywhere from $18,012 to $73,023. The $73,000 firm didn't make the cut, so just to let you know about that. So if you're interested in coming and listening to that, you're welcome to do that. The Riverside Park tennis and basketball courts, we got the bids back. Munson was the low bidder at $40,000, and they are supposed to start after August 17th when all of the activities done out there. We did get 3 bids, so they were the low bid. As you can see, the shelter's underway. We finally got the footings poured for that, so they can get going on that. They're hoping to pour the concrete floor this week, weather permitting, and no other incidents that they've had out there. We did get the library bid results back, and we're going to the council approved the awards on Monday. We're doing 4 design build and then 1 general construction contract. There's separate contracts for each of these. We did get 6 bids for the general construction. The low bid was $140,156. We did get one bid for fire protection. Oh, the North Central Construction Corporation was the bid for the general construction. Cooper Corporation was the fire protection bid that we got for $12,900. And we got 3 bids for the plumbing contract. The low bid was Joe DeBellick. For $31,574. Gillitzer Electric was low bid for the electric at $22,740. So the total of that is $207,370. We're asking for a contingency fee of $15,500. So the total of those is $222,920. We did not get any HVAC bids. The estimate for the HVAC work was $131,000. So we've already got that out to bid. We had a mandatory pre-bid meeting this morning. Those bids are due back June 30th. And we hope to go to council in August to get that over. So that project will be starting once we get all the bids done and the contracts determined. And we have Andy Farrell doing our construction oversight on that. So we'll be working on that pretty soon.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
The availability of playground is Regner Park. I don't remember that coming before the commission. Did I miss that meeting?
We talked about that at a previous meeting.
We've talked about it, but the entire project will come before Park Commission. What we're doing is working, I'm sorry, I'm turning it back towards us. What we're doing, we're going through the process of hiring a firm to work with the committee to come up with from concept design to a final design, all the way to construction documents, including the location. When that's all done, that final presentation comes before this board.
That's what we've done. We decide who's going to do it, to bring that before the commission before we even start any construction at all. Are we abandoning that procedure then? Not going to do that anymore?
This is for just the design.
Right, it's not.
They don't have the funds yet to.
Yeah, no, but you start the project. We always done it before you start the project. In other words, you're supposed to be doing the work.
If the commission wants
the
us,
commission has to approve starting from day one.
sure, if the commission wishes us to bring,
And that's what we have done in the past.
Jim, you gotta tell me, I don't have a playbook from,
No, I'm just relating past
so
experience.
it's a,
But
you know,
if
you're sure to
there's a
start.
commissioner, and if they want to use a different protocol, fine.
And we could put it on agenda, Carolyn, for next meeting
I've got
then?
reluctance to commit to a lot of money or anything else, or even get involved in it. It doesn't meet the criteria that the commission feels is appropriate. I think we're wasting our chance of delaying it or possibly having it.
So we'll put that on the August agenda, just to discuss location, okay?
Okay.
Sounds good. Mike, I think you had a question?
Do we know how they're doing on their fundraising? Have you heard anything?
They've started on it. They do have some funds. We talked to the Friends Group, and they are interested in helping with the design costs.
They've been kind of holding off a little bit, Mike, because part of this entire process, whenever a company gets hired, is marketing materials and things like that for them. So, you know, large boards and all that, plus all the electronic backup for it. So they want to make flyers or do presentations, things like that. Then they're kind of set. So right now, it's difficult for a group like that to go forward to any service club or anyone else and say, hey, this is what we want to do. We have no idea what it looks like. We have no idea what the final cost is, things like that. So that's why we're trying to work with them. Cindy's been doing a great job with Megan's on the committee and things like that. So we're come up with a company so we can put this entire package together. It will not be a small project. We're not talking a small little shelter.
The concept is for them to raise the money.
Yeah, right.
How long do they guarantee, like, you get bids for how much it'll cost? Because this could take a couple years to raise this.
Well, that's why we're doing the design first, because then they'll raise the money for construction and then do construction after that. We're not going to bid anything out until we have the money. And the part of what the design firm has to do is give us cost estimates. So
And so obviously if it takes 3 years to raise that money, you would have to put that into the formula a little bit, so.
And as the build-out, do we have any idea why nobody bid on the HVAC?
I talked to Andy Farrell, he reached out to a few of the contractors, and even the ones that he talked to this week that he thought were gonna bid on it, they're just crazy busy.
Yeah.
But we did get some interest, we got a few people at the pre-bid meeting this morning, and it was a mandatory pre-bid meeting. So we don't have anybody knowing, well, the other one's gonna put a price in here, so I've got it made, so that's not gonna be the case.
Couple guys seem pretty interested.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they were, but everybody's really busy right now.
It's a good sign, I guess, as a contractor, they're busy.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, my son's a contractor, and he said materials just went up another 10% this last month, so that's gonna be a downfall. And we're hitting probably the worst time possible, they're all busy, but nice winter project.
Well, yeah, we were hoping to do this 2-3 months ago, but there's a little fluke going around.
Yep.
Chicken pox.
Figured something like that.
Any other questions for Cindy? Thank you, Cindy. Tourism and event coordinator, Jackie.
Okay, most events are canceled for the fall. Some we're working with, we have every event that has canceled, it has been blood, sweat, and tears all along the way. No one is just randomly saying, give it up. Most of these organizations depend on the special event that they put on. They have to put up a lot of money, but in the recent years, the events have been so well received and they've made a lot of money. These are all nonprofit organizations, so this has been a very, very difficult process for everyone. So it's a part of this special event process that I never thought I'd need to visit, but it is a learning experience. We are, however, I'm working with a few nonprofits in the area about doing a modified October event that would be more of a drive-through type of thing. So I will keep you updated on that, but it's working with some nonprofits in West Bend. For the winter events, we're hoping that, well, it doesn't matter because the West Bend winter warm-up event, people are bundled up and covered up, so hopefully it won't be an issue. But I worked with the Diva Association and also the Gears Bike Group, and they both presented tourism requests to the fund requests to the tourism committee, and one received $1,000 and one received $1,500 towards the event, and so it'll be specifically used for the event. So we're working with Mike's staff to build some platforms for the ice sculptures, which will reduce the cost of the ice sculptures, and it'll also allow them to stay up longer. 4th of July fireworks, I need to thank greatly the park staff who put up the 80,000 feet of whatever it is, I'm just blind. Mike can tell you the exact amount. Who put up all the snow fence, and the police who patrolled from dawn until the fireworks went off. I do want to tell you, though, I hope it never happens again. In the park, it was Mike, myself, and my partner, and 35 police or 40 police. And the entire fireworks show, which nobody's crashed through any fences. We had no problems. The community reacted as we hoped it would, and they were respectful. We had one man that voiced his opinion outside of Riverside Park, but even he ended up giving us an attaboy at the end, which was great. And probably, it was so surreal and so heartbreaking to be inside the park as these absolutely beautiful fireworks were going off. And afterwards, though, the coolest thing happened is that the fireworks ended and you heard this eruption of sound from all around the city, or that we could hear anyhow, from up on the courthouse hill. We could hear all the way down, kind of past where you live. You could hear all around people hollering and horns beeping and screaming and whistling. And even the fireworks guy said, he called me right away. He said, "Did you hear that?" And his remark was, well, I hope they hear it in Milwaukee because they canceled us down there. And so it was truly a tribute to the community that they behaved, and it was all good. So I have huge thanks to everybody. Fall activities book, this is the cover. Will be going out. It will go online next week, and we will publish August 14th and 16th in the West Bend News. Excuse me, in the summer in the Sunday Post. Our summer feeding program kicked off the day school ended. I think I briefed you a little bit about that way back in maybe April. The day on the 13th, Friday the 13th of March, I got a call from the schools, and they said, "Can you activate your summer feeding program now?" And so I spent that full weekend in the office doing all of the reams of paperwork you have to do for the state of Wisconsin and the feds. But we activated the summer feeding program that following Monday. To this point, we are nearing 100,000 meals have been delivered and served. And what we do is so that there's no contact, people drive up at the school facility, they pop their trunk, they check in, they pop their trunk, we put 5 breakfasts, 5 lunches in their trunk, boom, they're gone. So there's no touch, no contact. Average from spring through summer was about 1,000 meals per week. 1,000 students per week, excuse me, and during the summer it has dropped down, as it usually does even with our summer program, to about 600 per week, but we are nearing, if not, now we might be over 100,000. So, that's my report.
Any other questions for Jackie? Thanks, Jackie. Recreation Supervisor, Nick.
June and July, information and updates. We started in-person programming for rec leagues activities the week of June 7th for low contact / risk activities through the Washington-Ozaki County Health Department guidelines. Those programs included tennis lessons, volleyball instruction, baseball instruction, archery lessons. We did some adult pound workout fitness classes, some women fitness classes, and then we started our T-ball and Rex Youth softball leagues towards mid to late June. Early June, we did pivot a little bit. We rolled out some virtual programming that kind of mirrored those instructional programs that we normally offer that I just mentioned, because obviously those in-person programs, we had to keep classes limited, class size is small to work within the guidelines. So we offer baseball, softball, tennis, basketball, some of the programs that are considered high contact that we didn't offer for instruction. We provided them a virtual option if they so choose, again, such as basketball and soccer. We also provided a 5K, 10K walk-run virtual challenge. People can sign up, participate on their own. After they completed it, if they so choose, they can send us a snapshot. But they got a t-shirt and medal for participating in that challenge. And then in July, we offered a few more programs. We were supposed to start a summer dance program as normal in June. We started it in July 6th, that week to be exact. And then we're hoping to do a modified, reduced dance recital right here at Regner using our stage on August 20th. And then we also started our tennis league, again with all the modifications, keeping the class size limited, doing that over at Regner Park. So we have tennis lessons and tennis league. League started in July and we'll finish up in August. Some impacts of COVID. Class sizes, as I mentioned, we are asking parents to sign a waiver that indicated they understand the inherent risks of participating in activities that relates to the exposure of COVID-19. Parents have been great, they've been signing, working with us, follow our guidelines and stuff that we ask them to do. Staff cleans and sanitizes equipment between classes. They also wear masks, our staff does. Some programs, such as the summer, is drop-off and pick-up only, so just the kids are in the dance studio. Parents pick them up after we're done. I did submit a logistical plan, such as a drop-off and pick-up for swim lessons. to use the high school pool in July. If they have decided to do a gradual phase approach to the inside rooms, put on hold for a while, and just allow the school district activities and kids to use the facility right now, which is understandable. So we're hoping to be able to get into swim lessons, do swim lessons in September, early September. We had a drive-in movie on June 24th. We had a pretty good turnout, had about 110 cars, but we used our screen that we always use, our 16 by 16 screen that we normally do here in person on the stage. So I had an idea, got confirmation from a guy that does movies on a regular basis professionally, and he gave me that. Said that the idea of purchasing white canopy tarp will work if we project it. So I got a 30 by 40 at a reasonable price as well too. It actually just arrived today at about $430. So it'll be twice the size of the screen that we had. So
You gotta steam it or something, you get all the wrinkles out of it, or? I was like, have you done that yet?
Dan is on it. Dan is on it. No. Yeah.
Steam that so it's nice.
I'm glad you volunteered for that.
I did work retail.
Yes, so what we've got to do, make some modifications to it. We're going to take like some 2x2s, put it on the top, put it on the bottom, and then we're going to suspend it, stretch it in the air, elevate it like the other, our screen was, but our other screen was 16 by 16, so this will be, I'm excited about it, and hopefully we'll do it on Friday night as well, so hopefully we'll get even larger attendance, and we'll see how it goes. A lot of the sponsors have returned. Bank 5-9 is going to support us again. Pops, all over the toll, is going to support. We got some food vendors coming. So we did a Facebook posting, and we voted, had let the people choose and voted. So we've done a lot of Disney animation. We did Frozen 2 last time. Like Secret Life of Pets, How to Train Your Dragon, a lot of those were choices. But the winner was Hook, which is a Disney movie from back in the 90s.
It's the only one that I knew before.
I was thinking like nostalgic, just like Annalise or something like that might be kind of nostalgic for parents and kids. Yeah.
So obviously the parents have voted, they want to see Hook, so hopefully they now show up and back their vote up and bring the kids up. Yeah, the kids obviously is going to be ready, but they have no idea what it's going to be. Yeah, Dustin Hoffman, the late Robin Williams is in it, so.
How does the virtual volleyball, what kind of participation you have in that, or basketball?
Not well.
Not well, okay, that's my...
No. So like my intention was to provide the option. We did it in May when we're usually training staff, getting ready for the beach and that kind of stuff, so we pivoted a little bit. And we have them now, we have those YouTube videos. Right. So if we have to roll in the fall, we can, or the winter, or next spring, or whatever.
But a participation was...
No.
Okay.
We had about 74 for the 5K, 10K. And getting back to the programs, I think they're awesome. So I'm surprised that we got some, but very few. We had a small fee, small charge, $10. So maybe if we have to roll them all in the fall, maybe we'll just $5 for a year.
Any other questions for Nick, anybody? Thanks, Nick. Conservation Supervisor, Courtney.
It's been a pretty busy summer at LLC. Camps and programs started back up in July. So we have 2 more weeks of camp left, which included Junior Naturalist Camp, which is on site, and our adventure camp where we biked all over West Bend, which was a lot of fun. Very good turnout. Was easy to socially distance campers being outside the whole time, and again, like Nick said, everyone was happy to sign the COVID-19 waiver for camps, including other programs that started back up in July are Wednesday morning stewards. So we have a good group of usually 5 to 10 stewards that come on Wednesday mornings that were happy to get back outside. They were begging pretty much every Wednesday when can they come back, so they are happy to be back. We kicked off our second Saturday stewards July 11th, and that was a great turnout. We chipped trails, chipped outside the buildings, and we had a Rotary group that painted our shed. So we will be meeting again in August. We have a couple weekend programs, Mucking in the Mud, that is August 8th. That's the same weekend, same day as the second Saturday Stewards, and then Flitter, Flutter, Butterfly, which is August 29th. Programs that are currently on hold are Nature in the Classroom. Right now, we're not going into any schools in West Bend or surrounding areas. I've made the decision to put the Memory Cafe at hold. There are other places doing virtual cafes, but in kind of hearing about how it went for Nick, I'm not sure how it will go for someone in their 80s to do a virtual Memory Cafe. It might be kind of difficult. And right now, Threshold is not open where I was going into 2 locations, so that is currently on hold until they open back up. This summer, during programming and prior to programming starting back up, we've had quite a few projects going on. We installed 5 more Bluebird boxes, and then we worked with Mark Stram to create an ArcGIS bird box map, so it's having our Bluebird boxes on there, as well as we're installing 5 bat houses, putting our wood duck boxes on there. And that's going to be so that we can track for monitoring, so that'll be available to the public online as well as on an app on your phone. And then there's going to be, when the project is completed, there will be a map of the Conservancy, so if people are interested in checking out the locations on the property, they can do that. We have new trail signs that are being installed that have been completed, and that goes in correlation with our West Bend Leadership Group, who worked on the QR code project for us. They just completed that about a month and a half ago, so we have all of that information that you'll be able to scan those new trail signs and learn about history of the property, about Ann and Lawrence, about different features of the property, and it's going to be changing with seasons, and it's going to be a really cool project. We're proud of to have it wrapped around. So stay tuned. We will update on our Facebook page when that rolls out. And we also did a partnership with the Hub. They have a nature passport right now. So if you go to the Hub to get your coffee or your food, they have the passports there. And on the passport, there's quite a few different West Bend parks where you can go and get your passport stamped. And then you come back when you're done. And I believe you get like a free beverage or something like that. Upcoming fall programs. We have Little Hikers Tuesday mornings, and Healthy Families Hiking that will go through October, and then we have our Fall Luminary Walk October 17th from 6 to 9 p.m.
What's the date on that again? October
17th,
okay.
6 to 9 p.m.
Do we have any more questions for Courtney? Okay. Park and Forestry Supervisor, Dan.
We had a couple highlights from down by the shop. With COVID taking place, we've been able to put energy into different projects that we normally don't get to. So we had the interior of the bathhouse has all been painted, cleaned up, kind of spruced up a little bit. It's more of a lightish blue color. We also, I know that Carl cusses up in the air as far as demolition, but we did update and paint the bathrooms as well, trying to give it a fresh look. The lights out at Quas Creek were repaired. We had a whole bunch of lights up there that were not working. We worked with Steiner Electric. We are in the midst of finishing up, I believe it's 13 memorial benches that we put in this spring.
Cool.
With pads. I believe we have 3 left. Service requests for forestry have been increasing as usual. More people at home, more eyes on what's going on. Keeps us busy. League play has been going on out of Quas. Rentals are increasing. Restoration up here at the bandstand, we just did that. We haven't been able to get to that with all the events going on. It never gets a chance to actually seed out, so it's a good time for that. Plus we did replace all the split rail fence over off of Silverbrook drive right in front of the Centennial Shelter. We just ordered new backboards for the Riverside basketball court, so that once that gets resurfaced in middle of August, then it's gonna look more like an update. And then Kevin, did all the new signs for out on LLC. So, we've been busy, just not event-wise.
Any questions for Dan? Thanks for all you do, appreciate it, really do.
Thank you.
All right, Director Mike.
All right, thanks, Mike. As you can see, COVID has changed what we do for this season. Certainly has not closed our doors or shut us down. Again, I'd like to commend our entire staff on great energy levels, great positivity, and the ability to change direction and change direction again and change direction. Because every time we get a health department update or whatever, it's cancel this, cancel 35 rentals, and Karen and Carolyn were doing outstanding jobs working with our customers, trying to reschedule. So as you can hear with the reports this evening, we are certainly busy. It's just a different type of busy. Smaller numbers and programs, does that make it easier? No. We're running more programs, you know, things like that. So definitely outstanding staff to work with to get through a situation like this. So thanks to everyone. The August commission meeting, Mike, unless you have something different, we'll probably just do it at City Hall.
That's fine.
In the council chambers. I don't think we're gonna have a big crowd for the dogs and parks.
We're not going to do drive-by or because of...
I don't think we're gonna do the tour because of the social distancing.
I got it.
aspect
Nope,
of
I got it.
That, so.
It's the best tour, best meeting of the year.
It is, but that's why at least we got out here tonight.
Yep. Nope.
You know, it's, I like meeting up the parks. It's just kind of a challenge for community.
No problem.
I want to make more work for them.
No problem.
Budgets, capital budgets, and operating budgets, we are working on those at this point in time. Not a lot of surprises with that. And my last item, I'm going to turn it over to Carolyn, who has a staffing announcement.
As many of you know, Karen Steinhardt left us at the end of June. June 26th is her last day. She has moved. We miss her greatly. She was an awesome assistant in the front office and all of our customers' needs very professionally. Interviewed for a new staff member. She will start August 3rd. Her name is Tanya Anderson, and so I'll be able to meet her at a subsequent commission meeting or stop in the office sometime and say hi to her or call her. She'll start August 3rd for us.
So start calling the office a lot.
That's going to be...
Hey, I got a problem.
That'll be a part-time position again also?
Same position.
Same position at, okay. Okay.
28 hours a week, so.
All right.
That's what I got, Mike.
Any questions for Mike?
I do. Any update on the Ice Trail connection from Washington down to the trail itself?
Actually, I did meet with them, Tim, what's his name? I met with him several weeks ago. We didn't walk it. And again, because of COVID, they've been out of the office, in the office. They have started some of their volunteer or their small groups where, let's say they would normally have a group of 30, they're down to 10 or less, things like that. So they are hoping to get something going yet this year in the fall. And we would support them, work with them on that extension. So. You bet.
Any other questions for Mike? Is there anything else for the good of the Park and Rec Commission? Nothing? Meeting adjourned. We got overtime tonight.